Well, hello, Living on Music is here for you tonight. Oh, wait a minute. I have a mask. Look, it's going right through the green screen. I love that. How is everybody out there, DMV and beyond? I am Steve Houk, and welcome to another episode of Living on Music. What you see behind me is the beautiful Union Stage. Union Stage is another venue that was recently opened through Mayor Bowser's pilot program to reopen venues. And I'm really proud to be standing amidst Union Stage right now. We have a show, again, I think I might say this almost on most of the shows I do because I'm enjoying this to such an extent. But we have an incredible show tonight to bring you. We are going to be talking and with the owner and general manager of School of Rock Alexandria, Steve McKay. Could not have been more excited to talk to him about not only what he is doing during this kind of very challenging times, but what School of Rock is all about, how they're able to bring in students, how it works, what the mission is, and it is going to be a wonderful show. I can't wait to bring you guys to the world of School of Rock. With Union Stage behind me, once again, we're going to talk about NIVA tonight. We're going to talk about the Emergency Relief Fund. Frankly, this is another way where we can have venues supported while we're waiting for the federal support, to keep them afloat while the support is on deck. The fund is going to be administered by the Giving Back Fund, which is a separate nonprofit that will collect the money from the fund. And also, there's an application process for venues. So if you know anybody who hasn't gotten to be a part of NIVA yet or is looking for federal funding, there's going to hopefully be a reapplication process. They're trying to figure it out for venues to receive grants from the Emergency Relief Fund. But you can go on right now and donate through NIVA, and the website is right above me. It's nivaasos.org/support-NIVA. And it's just something you can do. I mean, even if it's 10, 15, 20 bucks, 50, 100, whatever you can spare right now to continue to try to furnish funds for local venues to try to keep them afloat right now as the federal government, which we obviously know is in an incredibly tumultuous moment with the election. They're going through a lot. So this is one way you can do it. So go to that website, see what you can do to support NIVA, and we will keep you up to date here on Living on Music with what else is going on. One of the beautiful parts of the pandemic, if you can even call that, is classical movements and what they have been doing with live music in the Secret Garden near the Rectory in Alexandria. Well, the Sounds of Joy and Life is something that they are doing right now, and they are continuing to do outdoor shows, socially distanced, wonderful experiences in this beautiful Secret Garden. We went to just an incredible show about 2 or 3 weeks ago that was spectacular with these two unbelievable Christian Thomas and his cohort. I can't remember her name, and that's my fault, but an amazing experience. So this Saturday from 3:30 to 5 p.m., it is the Eclipse Chamber Orchestra. And what that is, it's comprised of DC's finest musicians, many of whom are members of the NSO, the National Symphony Orchestra. It's known as an orchestra of soloists, world-class performances in concert venues and schools and things like that. The Beau-Soir, I think it's called, ensemble, is a flute, viola, and harp trio, and they are going to be doing a show this Saturday, 3:30 to 5. So go to classicalmovements.com/Secret Garden concerts or Secret Garden. You'll find it there. It's easy to find. Go be a part of it. It's such a beautiful place. The environment itself is so magnificent, let alone the talent that they bring in there. Anita and Johan and Adam and the incredible people at Classical Movements are continuing to try to bring live music, continuing to try to facilitate what they bring across the world, which is music. They take musicians everywhere and choral and everything. So go to classicalmovements.com, see what you can do to try to go down to the Rectory this Saturday, again, 3:30 to 5. And then beyond that, we will continue to keep you up to date on other shows there. What I also love to do every open of every show I do is thank you to my past guests here on Living on Music. And boy, we've just continued to have an amazing array of people that are doing amazing things with music and go across the board. But please continue to find the musicians that we bring on Living on Music. Continue to try to find their music and support them as we go through this. I wanted to make a shout out to Ali Handel, who has been one of my wonderful guests throughout. She was one of the early guests on Living on Music. She's a internationally known songwriter, guitarist, and also a member of Ragdolls, which is an incredible all-female tribute to Aerosmith. We watched the show the other night that they put out, and you paid $8, and you got this stream of this show, and it was spectacular. And I'm telling you, I'm an Aerosmith fan for the last 45 years of my life. I went and saw him at Madison Square Garden. I've said this before, when I was 15 years old, took the train down from Connecticut and saw Aerosmith, been a huge fan of the band. This band kicked ass. They blew us away, and they sounded so good. We were wondering what Steven Tyler and Joe Perry and the boys are thinking of them, because they have to get permission to play this music. If you would like to see this, you go to Ragdoll Band and you see the website URL going above me. It's a lot to discern here, but what you do is you go to ragdollband.veeps.com and find this stream. It's open for another couple of days. You can get it. And it is worth every second. It rocks. They did a live set, full hour-long set. They opened with Draw the Line. They did some incredible stuff from the early part of Aerosmith. They did Last Child. It's an amazing band, and this is their first performance. So Ali, way to go to everybody in Ragdolls, and go find out what they're doing with Aerosmith. Another guest I've had on the show is Ruthie Logsdon, and Ruthie, what an amazing band they have. Oh, there they are. Hey, what's up, guys? They've been doing backyard tour gigs, and this is one of the great bands this area has going right now. The picture you're seeing behind me is from a gig they did in Tacoma Park on one of the backyards. Who would have thought the favorite venues ever would be backyards? They hope to have a gig this Friday night at Old Bowiestown Grill, and it depends on whether they're going to be allowed to do a show there. So again, keep your eyes open. Go to Ruthie and the Wranglers on Facebook, Ruthie Logsdon. Find them. They are amazing. We'll keep you posted too. And if they don't play there, they're going to play somewhere, because these guys love to keep playing. A buddy of mine, Bill Starks, who we had on Living on Music, and as part of the Wranglers, one of his songs was on Howard Hernstat show on WERA FM today. It's on the Jazz Blues mashup. It was supposed to be a fun show with most of the titles giving a sly wink to issues of the election, so that's kind of fun. But congrats to Bill Starks, who is just an amazing musician in his own right, and has had his song on with Howard today. And go find Bill Starks on Facebook as well, as part of Ruthie and the Wranglers. Well, tonight is a show that, is really something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I remember seeing the film with Jack Black, School of Rock. I had heard about it, a little bit about the organization, didn't really know in depth what it was all about. And since then, before I even had this incredible conversation with Steve McKay, was able to kind of get a real sense of the mission, the goals, the value that School of Rock has for young musicians. And yeah, we all have influences on us. All the musicians I talk about, there are influences. They end up playing in elementary school and in high school and things like that. School of Rock kind of elevates the bar and enables kids and adults. They have adults now that are coming in and having classes to find out what's going on. Enough of that. What we'll do right now, though, I'm going to play us a quick scene from the movie School of Rock to kind of get you a little tasty on the education aspect. Obviously, again, not exactly the curriculum, but again, I am so excited to have Steve McKay, the owner and GM of School of Rock Alexandria, on tonight. But before that, Jack Black, why don't you take us to a little School of Rock?
right there. Don't move. Piano man, front and center. What's your name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence, you ever played keyboards? Any techno?
No, I only play piano.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Try this out for me, okay? Just give this a try on my count, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Yes. Come on, come on, now touch me, babe. Ba-da-ba-da, can't you see that I am not afraid? Shaka-ka-ka. Lawrence is good at piano. He shall be rocking in my soul. Ra-ga-ga-ga. Stop. That's perfect. You're perfect. Stay right there, okay?
Oh man, just seeing that clip reminds me of the first time I saw that movie with Jack Black, School of Rock, and again, not necessarily indicative at all of how School of Rock Alexandria works with their students and instructors, but it's a really funny, ending up being a sweet, poignant, compassionate film about teaching students and kids music. So not necessarily exactly what happens, but I just wanted to show that because for a lot of people, School of Rock came to their awareness with that film. It kind of, people were like, oh, there's a school with kids getting taught music directly at that age and in that way. So again, not necessarily the reality. On to the real deal, though. Here's a fun story, a real quick story involving my wonderful guest tonight, the owner and GM of Alexandria's one and only School of Rock, Steve McKay. Back in 1987, Steve was playing in a high school jazz ensemble at a holiday show. And in the middle of the last song, he was given a short drum solo to perform. Well, many drummers don't know what short drum solos are. So actually, he went further, and 30 seconds and a minute and a half. And it ended up the principal and the music director charged the stage, ran up to try to get him to stop, which caused the entire auditorium of students to go haywire happily and just loving every minute of it. I guess what happened was Steve went from kind of a band geek to being the most popular kid in the school for the rest of his senior year. So kind of a neat evolution in that way. And also with his music, Steve has continued to perform and manage and market his own bands, assists even with sound, light, production stuff. He's very, very multi-talented, even in the musical world as well. Currently working on his 4th studio album with the punk metal band Hell Pie, one of the great band names that I've heard in a long time. For many years, Steve fueled his passion for music and drums by working in IT project management, about 24 years of it. And after that, decided that maybe he needed a change. And this is a part of a theme of Steve's life and a part of the theme of a lot of people trying to figure out how to adapt, not only during a pandemic, but all the time. So basically, he looked at his options, weighed the different things that he knew about and skills, and he opened the School of Rock in Alexandria in May of 2019. Well, because of a dedicated, amazing staff, eagerness from the public and the great community around Alexandria, the school became a huge success. It had 130 active students by March of 2020. March of 2020, we know what happened. And COVID forced the school to go from a safe social environment to basically a remote learning center. And there were quick tests and people learning stuff and just jumping in, trying to figure out how to adapt. And they've been able to at least grow back their student body that kind of needed to kind of go down home for a while. They, in July, even resumed in-school lessons with very, very high safety standards, and we'll chat a little bit about that as well. But School of Rock adapted to the kids, and schools are having a tough time right now, and we'll talk to Steve about how they've adapted even more and what some live performances they've even been able to do virtually and in person. So what I really love before I introduce Steve is the mission statement from School of Rock, which is we are a growing, passionate community dedicated to enriching lives through performance-based music education. Without further ado, please welcome the owner, GM, and main man of School of Rock Alexandria and a real kick-ass drummer to boot. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve McKay. Steve, welcome.
Glad to be here, Steve, on ZTV. Been looking forward to this, and it's an honor to work with you, Steve.
You too, man. I have for so long I'd heard your name bandied about possibly having you on the show and wanting to talk about School of Rock. Plus, I've just always been such a deep admirer and respecter of the entire institution, and I can't wait to dive into this with you. It's really exciting. I've never really talked about it in depth with anybody, let alone somebody who's really kind of running the show here. First of all, hopefully I won't have to ask this for a long time after this whole thing kind of we get through the pandemic. But I just wanted to find out again how you're doing, how your staff's doing. And I know you guys have done some wonderful adjustments, especially with kids. It's a challenge to continue your education and your work that you do with School of Rock during this time. How you doing?
Doing well. We're bouncing back. Before COVID, we were at 130 students, just amazing. And COVID dropped us down about 40%, but a lot of those were our younger students who weren't quite ready to do the whole Zoom thing, little too young. And we bounced back. The staff's been amazing. We've had to adapt. School of Rock's all about socializing kids, put them together in bands. And now we have to do this remote. We call it remote. So everything online. So staff learn Zoom through our mobile app and our books. We have our own books and mobile app that made life a little easier. Now they can assign them homework. They can work with the app and the books. And just like anything in life, like my life story, just constantly adapting to the changing times.
Right. And was it a crash course of sorts for both instructors and students to kind of jump into this together?
Yeah, it was. I have an IT background, so that certainly helped. But School of Rock gave us, again, we'd never considered doing this. We're all about performance-based music education. And they gave us the foundation and guidelines to make this happen. And staff took to it well. Students took to it well, and we just adapted through games and musical games and just different projects, special projects. We made it work.
What are the biggest? Again, it's been such an incredible thing to see. My daughter's started college and just recently down in Florida, and it's all virtual, and she's going through some anxiety and having some challenges there, as millions of kids are. And when music comes into it, what's the kind of the way that this really works for you guys? How have you found it what are some of the keys to making sure they engage and integrate?
Right. Well, every student's different and instructors' teaching methods are different. I really think getting them and keeping them passionate about music. So we have our own curriculum and songs and exercise, but what do you want to learn today? We found like a lot of keyboardists and even guitarists, some of the younger ones, I really like video games. Let's teach you the Mario Brothers theme, or, what's your favorite game? Let's look up that theme and we can teach you that. Okay, now they're excited about music again. And then we sneak in theory and all of our curriculum to keep them growing.
Well, one thing that I think will help illustrate what you guys are doing and how you're keeping these students engaged and learning with music is we're going to show a little bit of a clip from School of Rock. And Steve, walk us just a little bit through, not specifically, but who's in this. I know there's one adult student and a couple of younger students. How this came about to do this song, Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas.
Yeah, so School of Rock owns sync license for several dozen songs. So we picked Carry On My Wayward Son, great band history. So we also want to teach students about the band history, and a challenging song. We wanted to keep it challenging enough for both the older students and the younger students. So the way this came about, we're all in quarantine. We're getting used to the Zoom thing. Well, let's put together a project to get them passionate, working towards a goal, a music video. So each of them, we gave them through our mobile app, the recording of Carry On My Wayward Son. So with the help of the parents, thank you parents, they were able to record themselves playing Carry On My Wayward Son. They send all these videos, multiple takes, just gigabytes of video to our show director and house band director, Sean Sharifi. He took all this all these videos, synced them together. So we got students from age actually 4 and 5, a couple of the little wings, age 6 and 7, a couple of the dancers, and age 8 to 17, they were actually recording them playing their instruments. So Sean took all this information and put it all together. And we have an amazing video of our students and 1 or 2 adult students performing the song.
So he did. So you guys did multiple videos like this with students, and Sean produced all of them.
Oh no, just the one.
Oh, well, great. Well, here we go. This is a band that I remember seeing when I was in high school at Madison Square Garden. They did a live record, and the show we were at was one of the shows that went on the live record. And a real interesting sidelight. Apparently, a teenager on the way to one of those shows on their tour got into an accident and lost their sight. So they dedicated the entire live record to that person because it was what they quoted the last visual experience that they would ever have. It's pretty moving dedication by Kansas, and they were a very, very special band. Let's take a little bit of a look at a virtual piece of School of Rock. Some of their students doing "Carry On, Wayward Son." Oh man, I just even hearing that song at all is so fun. Let alone having kids and students do that wonderful song. You know, before we get into a little bit more of kind of what's going on in School of Rock now, and also a little bit of the kind of the missions and the goals and how the methods go, I want to talk about you, Steve, just for a minute. You've had such an interesting evolution in your life and career that has brought you to be the GM of a School of Rock itself. I know you were born in upstate New York in the late 60s, but what I loved is that we talked a little bit about it. You had an amazingly supportive family and an involved family. Talk a little bit about that.
Right, just from the early beginning, just so supportive. And when I got an older brother, so he's 4 years older, he's playing guitar and all these stacks of rock albums. So that was a big inspiration. And then for parents to back, especially a drummer, imagine having a kid beating on drums in the basement as well as beating on everything else in the house.
Right.
But to be so supportive through schools and coming to concerts. And I currently play in a punk metal band and in dive bars, and my mom still comes to see us. So it's just amazing to have parental support from the very beginning, and just to, have them come out to shows and support. Even at School of Rock, we have rocker moms instead of soccer mom. We got
Oh,
rock
I love that.
stickers, and for dads, I'm getting some roadie dad shirts.
Ah,
So important. And at the School of Rock, we have several parents and their child taking lessons, not together, but you know, at the school. Just so to see families involved together, just an amazing thing.
oh, I love, yeah, that is. And again, supportive families aren't automatic in this world and in this life. So to have that must have kicked you into a really neat place. I know you started on sax, and that was an interesting instrument to start on. How did that come about?
Yeah, so elementary school at the time only did woodwinds and brass. So I chose sax, and friend of mine was, I made some great friends in the elementary school band. So when I went to middle school, I learned, oh, there's a percussion section.
Mm.
So I was like, well, let me sign up for that. So it's funny, I showed up and the music director said, I have you down for sax. I was like, no, I'm here for drums. So he was like, well, I guess we can have one more drummer. Luckily, all the drummers were 8th graders. So when they graduated into high school, so I was 7th grade, I was by default first tier drummer.
And
Great.
talk a little bit about, I've been, playing in bands for a while, and obviously a rock and roll fan for, 50 years. Drummers are an incredible breed. They are the backbone, the backdrop. I interviewed Max Weinberg right before the pandemic, and I'm a huge Springsteen fan, but to talk to him about drumming too, it's an incredible core of a band. I mean, what gives you, what does drumming give you in your soul and heart that really has driven you for all these years to stay drumming?
So fortunate to find something I was passionate about and good at an early age, and then to have supportive parents. And I was a shy kid, felt awkward, but I've made so many friends through music. Just rehearsing in old garages, and people would stop by and jam. I've just made so many great friends and so many great memories through drumming. Great exercise. It's just I couldn't live without it.
Oh, that's great. And you're actually fostering some of the School of Rock mission sounds with the integration and things like that. You went through from there. Was it a kind of a cover band world for you for a little while? And then when did your first kind of jump into a band that you stayed with for a while?
Yeah, so cover bands. We wrote a few songs. I guess the late '80s. And from there went to a band called Teasin', and we did some I call micro tours, mini tours, micro tours around the Mid-Atlantic in the early '90s. Did well there. We were writing and covers, so a mix of that. The grunge era came through, and at no fault of grunge, before that, you could go to the Rabbit's Foot, Paragons, Cellar Door.
Yeah.
Bands, Tuesday, Wednesday, it would be just packed. And then just at that time frame, things started to die down, and I wasn't happy with working construction. So it's like, I think it's time to make a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you did. And, you jumped into a world of IT. You had a pretty steady, stable and consistent career in IT for a long time.
Right.
Got, like I have in, the TV world, and many of us do, the corporate world can drag you down with new ownership, new management all the time. What was the impetus to start a School of Rock for you?
Right. Just, it was a wonderful job. Loved my coworkers and direct supervisors. But as you know, the commutes around here are just awful. I would show up to my work anxious and just tired.
Right.
And just the constant changes. So again, I felt it was time for a new chapter in life, and I started looking at different options. Of course, being a musician, with all my musician skills, production, marketing. You're not just a musician. You got to remember that your marketing, your production, your public relations, your merchandise, your retail. You're so many things as a musician.
Yeah.
So I looked at that, and all my background in IT, project management, having staff, having large budgets, just taking all those life skills. I was like, wait, all these life skills I've learned throughout the years, I can open a small business.
Right.
And with my music skills, I've done everything it takes to start a school of rock. So along those lines, did my research, found out you can take a portion of your 401k, roll it into an S corp. From there, you can open a franchise, and you can do that all tax-free, penalty-free. And I look at School of Rock as even through a pandemic, we're not going anywhere. So perhaps this can be my retirement plan, and I get to see some great, amazing students and amazing memories along the way.
Oh, what a perfect match. I mean, that's kind of not, people adapt and change a lot in their lives. And for you to be able to adapt and change and have this kind of did you find it on your own? Did somebody suggest School of Rock to you, or did you just look at all the options and there it was?
I was looking at different options and went out and saw, I believe, years ago, I believe it was School of Rock Columbia House Band playing at Merriweather up top. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I think a year later, it may have been School of Rock Vienna playing out at Jiffy Lube Live out on the, as you walk in.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Amazing. So that's a year before I made this decision. And then so I started more and more thinking about it. I was like, just School of Rock just made the perfect opportunity. And I used to think of franchises as, just big corporation, but no, they are small businessmen and businesswomen. And we're utilizing this great marketing tool of School of Rock and awesome curriculum to build this foundation. And then it's still run. We're staffed with local employees, and we support the community. So I really feel this like a mom and pop shop with a big name backing us and awesome curriculum.
Before we kind of talk a little bit more, Steve, about the kind of the mission and the goals and things like that of School of Rock, I wanted to run another clip of something that's happened over the last few months. You've had a couple of the bands go out and play outside, and talk about how that evolved and kind of what band we'll be seeing with the clip. Actually, we'll do Final Countdown.
Right, so Final Countdown, that's our Best of the 80s performance group. And we also had a tribute to AC/DC group, and our house band performed. But we would never have thought, well, first, this is our performance group. It's typically 4 months. They rehearse this theme, which is Best of the 80s, and the mix of hair metal and 80s pop, 80s rock. And so we had to extend that because of the pandemic. So 8 months they've been working on this set. So to risk that by having an outdoor venue, but during the pandemic, as we're in, we just couldn't find an indoor location. So we chose this, pretty risky, and it worked out beautifully. The weather was great. The kids had a blast. I didn't have to babysit the parents and the attendees because they were all spread out and wearing masks. I was handing out pamphlets, and people were coming from the park because they heard the music. And they're like, oh, we figured we'd bring the kids down to check out this band. And we're like, these are kids playing. They're hearing, Kansas and all this great music, AC/DC, and they're thinking they're going to walk down and see an adult band. And wow, it's an average age of 13, 14, 15-year-olds playing amazing popular rock.
Oh, I love that. And it's at Lee District Amphitheater, I believe, right north of Falls Church. And one of my first gigs there in a band about 15 years ago was there. A wonderful, wonderful venue. And obviously you're probably your biggest nemesis in an outdoor gig is rain, and you totally lucked out with that. But let's take a little journey over to Lee District Amphitheater and see a little bit of how School of Rock continues to perpetuate and facilitate the education of kids playing music. This is a wonderful moment. The Best of the 80s band at School of Rock with the Final Countdown. Oh man, countdown.
It's the final countdown.
Wow, that is so fun to see those guys play that, especially that song from the 80s. And wow, they really put it out there. I mean, you guys must have been overjoyed to see them performing, especially right now.
Yeah, especially after a pandemic, to give these kids something to look forward to, a goal outside of quarantine. It's just amazing, and for the staff as well. They were just overjoyed and really proud moment for everyone.
Well, and in speaking directly to that, Steve, it's a great segue into kind of a little bit of the School of Rock kind of mission. And a lot of that, and what you probably again convey to potential students and people that are part of the organization and people that aren't, about the benefits of music. We all have found the benefits of music almost tenfold during this time. Musicians and non-musicians alike, using music to kind of get your soul enriched, keep something normal. And music can remind you. I know the new Springsteen album just came out, and been a 50-year or 40-year fan, and it's been like Christmas morning for the last week, just playing his new music. And he has been going through it too. He hates doing virtual stuff in a studio, but he'll do it. Talk a little bit about the benefits of music that you foster, not only to potential people that come into School of Rock, but also to the people that do come. Those benefits are wonderful.
Yeah, this list is endless. I always like to talk about the brain power. For example, as a drummer, my grandfather first taught me this, and I researched it and found out it was true. As a drummer, you're using all four quadrants of your brain. Not many activities do that. You're using not only your mind, but two limbs, your fingers. I mean, it just amazing benefits to brain power and figuring things out, social skills. The whole thing of School Rock, putting kids and bands together. Now I better learn my part because my band is relying on me. And
Right.
just maybe somebody doesn't quite know their part yet. To see one student mentor the other. Just a beautiful, amazing sight. Building confidence, not only when they're on stage, but in front of each other, and that I can play this part, build their confidence, and take that with them throughout life.
Sure.
Creativity. We want to get more into songwriting, maybe this summer, but just
Oh, good.
creative and being creative on their instrument. Teaching them patience. Patience is huge. Sometimes we may have 8 kids in a group and 2 drummers, so one drummer's got to sit out a song until his song comes up. And just being patient with, there's different skill levels in the band. So one guitar player may have more experience than the other, so they have to be patient with the inexperienced or younger students.
Sure.
Great form of expression. Again, we want to get into songwriting, and just we don't always, many bands, you may learn Carry On My Wayward Son, but hey, let's do it our way. Let's do it a little differently. So form of expressions, teaching them discipline.
Sure, big time.
That's just a given with being in a group.
And the whole thing teaches them about teamwork, right? Isn't that all a big part of the kind of the whole circle of umbrella of what you guys are showing them?
Yeah, similar to youth sports, just a teamwork. Again, I better learn my part because my band is depending on me. So it's really, and again, this list can go on and on and on.
And you have basically the percentage split between young boys and young girls, or boys and girls, young ladies, young men, is about, it's like about a 60-40 split.
It is.
Right.
I believe
that's pretty great.
Yeah, Mary from Zebra Magazine introduced you to me, or me to you, and I think that was the first thing me and you talked about. Is like there's 40% female at our school, and I believe that's across all 260 School of Rocks around the world.
Right.
And that's about the percentage. I think Fender even came out with an article on the growth of females taking guitar or buying and taking guitar lessons. So just a beautiful thing.
That is very, very special. When do you've got a breakdown of programs in your organization? What's the youngest child that you have in the School of Rock right now, or how young do they start? I think you said 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, before COVID, we had a Little Wing program with some amazing instructors, and they were age 4 and 5.
Little Wing after Jimmy's song?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's great. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, right?
Yeah. So step 1 with all our programs, get them passionate about music. Once they're passionate about music, lessons come so much easier. So that's just about getting them. They get some hands-on with some instruments, but it's really teaching them about pitch, volume, and verse and chorus, and just the basics, and as well as teamwork. As a couple kids together. Our rookies, age 6 to 7, right now that's just remote, but they're learning music theory and through music games like Music Jeopardy, and they bring their songs. Hey, bring a song to class next week, and we'll go through it. So they're learning how to even song or map out songs. This is a chorus, a verse. Right. And they're learning, again, getting them passionate about music. Before COVID and after COVID, rookies, we put them in a room. They get to try out all the instruments. So, okay, we're going to play 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley. Right. So a simplified version. So they get to try out all the instruments, see what they like, and we can assess them. And tell their parents, hey, they're a natural at drums, they're a natural at keyboards, they're a natural singer. Rock 101, age 8 to 13, they get a 90-minute group session, great group session to rehearse the songs they're learning in their one-on-one lesson. So they get a weekly one-on-one lesson and a group lesson. Awesome. And then once they've met a certain level of understanding about their instrument and playing, and most importantly, their maturity level and working together as a team, they go into performance band, and that's the band that we get them shows like at the Lee District Center, Paradiso, Glory Days, Electric Palm.
That's awesome.
We're doing a lot down at Workhouse Arts Center in Lorton as well.
Right.
And above that, so the performance band, if you're in performance band, you can audition for house band.
Right.
House band is the one we get gigs throughout the city or throughout the region. And we just started an adult band. So kind of a bucket list thing. It's really hard to start a band. I've always wanted to be in a band. I don't have the time. Well, School of Rock has the rehearsal space. We help put together the band. We give you a set list, and we get you a gig after like 4 months.
Wow. So you're helping adults and kids.
Yeah, so I'm expecting you to call me next week and sign up. Yeah, so we had such great interest in that. We might even have 2 adult bands next season. So that's just building upon our great curriculum.
Right.
Yeah, really looking forward to that as well.
And kids learn faster in groups, it seems, in this environment for sure. I think it could feasibly go across for most kids a number of environments, but it seems like for you guys, it seems like that's a mantra of sorts.
Yeah, and that's what it just they learn so much faster. Again, I better learn my part. My band's depending on me.
Right.
The teamwork aspect, and they're able to see each other, mentor each other, watch what each other's doing. It's not just an instructor teaching them everything. And in the groups, it's supposed to be a rehearsal, not learning your part. So they really need to learn their part and to benefit the whole band.
Sure. Talk a little bit, Steve, about the method books and the method app part of your facilitation, and how important has that been? Gosh, currently it probably is a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's been a lifesaver, especially going remote now. So all the instructors, different teaching styles, they brought their own background. I've used this book successfully. Well, they can still use their books, but especially with us going remote, now we've got all instructors and all students on the same kind of curriculum, both books and a mobile app. So our mobile app has all of the book exercises. They can play along with it, and it has over 1,000 songs they can play along with. So it has the sheet music. It kind of guides them through the sheet music. So it makes learning tablature and reading music a lot easier, because you're hearing and seeing what's going on the page of sheet music. So that's been so beneficial. And again, like all of our 8-year-olds going into Rock 101, if they're all on the same level, and being taught the same things, they can go into group and be so much more prepared.
That's wonderful. And again, you've been able to continue this effort and continue the business and continue your mission during this time, because for a lot of kids, even though school is challenging online, they're playing music online with these people, and they're able to continue to engage in the music part of it. It just must be a wonderful thing to see some of these kids remain engaged.
Right. They're remaining engaged, supportive families, keeping them engaged as well. And now that we reopened our doors as an option in July, and I'd say about 70-80% of our students have returned.
Yeah.
There's still some that respectfully want to remain remote. We call it remote or online.
Sure.
And so it's starting to come back all together. Parents being supportive. We're being very diligent on cleaning, disinfecting in between every student groups, and we come up with very unique ways of disinfecting rooms and keeping the area safe.
Yeah, I'm sure that being a school, it's the priority. So yeah, that's wonderful to hear. We got one more video we want to roll, and it is of the house band. It is at, I believe, Lee District Amphitheater as well. And talk a little bit about this band in general, if you can, and then we're going to have them rock a little Megadeth.
Yeah. So our house band is comprised of performance band students who audition for a house band, and we get them gigs as much as possible. They've been playing Workhouse Arts Center in Lorton like every couple weekends, large outdoor setting. And so we're like, well, our house band is so great, let's have them close the show at the Lee District Amphitheater our past October.
Oh, that's great. Well, one thing I thought was, it has to be a bit of a challenge for the lead singer. I'm a lead singer in my bands and have been for 15 years. And the gigs that we've played during the pandemic, we've been very distanced away from anybody, but we haven't worn masks when we've been singing. I think it was a good move to do that. Probably the protocol was absolutely dead on. But I wonder if was it a little bit of a challenge for them to sing through the masks?
Oh, definitely, because you're being muffled.
Right.
You're singing, your jaw's moving, so your mask is dropping.
Right.
We tested different masks, gave them different options to help them out as much as possible. And while they're in school, they're behind plexiglass and the mask. And of course, outdoors, you're moving a lot of air when you're singing.
You sure are, yes.
6-foot things, a little different, and being outside, a little breeze. So we just have to be cautious. Some people have not students or parents, but passerbys have thought it was ridiculous. But we're responsible for over 100 students, staff, their families, our whole community.
Yeah.
We have to be as cautious as possible, and it's working. The kids are getting used to it. Life is all about adapting to the changing times, and they've done an excellent job. So I thank the students, staff, and parents for all their support.
Absolutely. And you've done the right thing. They need to be masked out there singing, and especially the singers, again, because of the putting out the droplets, so to speak. But look, what a wonderful experience this is to see. We're going to roll a little bit of the School of Rock, Alexandria's house band, doing, yes, ladies and gentlemen, nothing. We're going to rock it up here. This is Symphony of Destruction from Megadeth.
Yes, take the water around. Red put 'em in control. Oh, I Steve McKay, my guy. Watch people's heads roll. You're acting like a robot. Your metal break the road. It's right at the blue. Until the head explodes. Starts to rumble, and I was born. Oh, I'm running. A peaceful man stands tall. Like a fire, and right through the trees.
I think we're both doing that. How can you not to Megadeth?
Oh yeah.
What a wild choice for the house band to do. How are the songs chosen, Steve?
Yes, we have a database of songs vetted by School of Rock. As you know, songs can have some subjective lyrics and tones to it. So we got this huge database of songs vetted by School of Rock, and many we have sync license for. So this one in particular, we have sync license. So our show directors choose the songs based on the theme of the season or event. And so our house band, being the true rockers, I'm a metalhead, so I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So they love playing this song, and it's just been a beautiful thing. So yeah, our show directors choose the songs, and we give them some leeway. We also cast them. So we might have a student with, wow, he plays like Jimi Hendrix. He's next to Hendrix, but we may not give that Jimi Hendrix part to him. We want to challenge the other guitarist in the group. So it's a little madness to how we put these all together.
That's great. I mean, but they probably knew when the Megadeth song was chosen and they had to run it by you that it'd be no problem because again, you were like, fine, let's do it.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
If the drummer doesn't show up, yeah, I'll sit in.
Well, what I hope we can do in the future, because this is what I keep telling every single guest I have, and especially with you, what I want to do is when the day comes where we're feeling a little bit safer in life, we could do a show with one of your house bands, one of the best of bands, live in studio somewhere, and we can all be kind of watching them play. But up until that point, seeing these guys play is just spectacular. Well, look, I could not be more thrilled to have talked to you about this amazing place. It is just such a wonderful thing to be able to learn more about what you're doing, meet you, and get a sense of the guy that's running this school. And boy, they're lucky to have you, man, because I can tell your mission and your attitude and everything just seems dead on, as are your instructors. We were talking a little bit, and I wanted to close with this. I love the thought that you were talking about, is that it's not only about kids learning at School of Rock or in other environments. One of my dear friend Todd Jones was on a few weeks ago, and he's an instructor and teaches music up in New Jersey, and is doing it all the time to kids. But it's also about musicians that are established, continuing to learn. Right.
Right. Yeah. So if I look at my life as different chapters, it's so sad to see so many national artists out of work right now. But if you can look at my life, where it's not, you're not too old to change. There's plenty of online learning, and that's how I made the change from IT to School of Rock. Was adapting, finding. I hadn't done accounting. Well, guess what? I'm doing our accounting now. I'm doing a great job, I believe, keeping the school running. So just constantly adapting to your environment. If you're not happy in a situation, set a goal and small goals to reach that goal, and just work hard. Instead of 3 hours of Netflix a night, how about half of that, and the other half you're learning a new craft?
Yes.
So there is time in your life. Everybody's different, but to find time. And one of my big things was, do I continue my current life path where I wasn't that happy, or do I buckle down and learn something new? Kind of like put blinders on for a year, 2 years to learn something new to better my life for the future. So if you're unhappy with your situation, just learn and grow. Set some goals and continue growing your life. Music will always be there. Don't give up on music. But find your passion, find a new passion, and work towards those goals to make a better life for you and yours.
What a great message to end with, Steve. I really appreciate it. Steve McKay, thanks so much for being a guest on Living on Music. I, again, respect you greatly and respect that organization. And I wish you guys the best of luck as this continues to unwind, with things kind of going up and other things having to close back. And we're just hoping that, again, hoping the kids in this country and around the world are finding ways to continue to learn and engage. And boy, you guys are doing a beautiful job to keep going. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Steve, Zebra TV, and this amazing community. So supportive. And thanks to all the kids, families, and our amazing staff.
Fantastic. Yes, they are. And we will again. Let's make a high five or a whatever we do with the elbow agreement to actually try to do a live show in the next year or so when things calm down and see. I want to see those guys play in person. And again, congratulations on what you're doing. Way to go, School of Rock. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure, man. Wow. How do you feel about School of Rock now? I mean, come on. What an incredible organization. What an incredible job Steve McKay is doing with his staff to keep kids engaged, keep them involved, learning about music, loving music, finding their passion for music, especially during that. We're sorry we had a bump during the beginning of the show, our first video. So what we're going to do for all of you right now is we're going to play the entire Carry On Wayward Son video of School of Rock Alexandria doing this virtual thing. And Sean did an incredible job in editing. I believe Sean is his name, and I will mention him again. But this is a song, again, written it was released in 1976, written by Kerry Livgren, by a band that in my era we really loved. So let's go find School of Rock, Carry On Wayward Son.
Stay right there.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. That my mind could think I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming. I can hear them say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Masquerading as a man with a reason. Master easy event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, it surely means that I don't know. On a stormy sea of moving emotion, tossed about like I'm a ship on the ocean. I set a course for wings of fortune, but I hear the voices say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head cry.
Don't you cry
no
Oh man, I'm just giddy with love for that. I'm telling you, that not only brings me back to my high school days, and again, seeing that band at Madison Square Garden, but what a fantastic job by School of Rock and Sean and and Steve McKay and everybody involved at that place for pulling that off in this virtual world. I mean, and I love the way the instruments were highlighted in each sense. So you really got a sense of how each of those kids was playing. I mean, what a wonderful experience. God, Steve McKay, you really, really rock. Thanks so much for being on here. Glad we got to play the whole video here at the end. And again, we can't wait to have you guys on with the band live, hopefully within the next year, if this whole thing kind of begins to subside and we can get safe again. So I love you, Steve McKay. Thanks so much. And thank you, School of Rock, for being a true giant of music education in this world. Thanks so much. We got a real quick plug for School of Rock for Steve. I think this is incredible. If you want to get a free 30-minute trial lesson from School of Rock, Alexandria, I mean, this is phenomenal. The lesson can be remote or in school. So what you need to do is to go to alexandria.schoolofrock.com. You fill out the trial lesson form, or you can call them at 571-376-7625. It is what a huge, huge thing to be able to have an opportunity to do that and to get a sense of what School of Rock is all about. And so I would go for that if you can. Again, to go to alexandria.schoolofrock.com, fill out the trial lesson form, and go for it with School of Rock. Thanks again, Steve McKay, so much. Coming up on Living on Music, we've got an incredible show this Monday with Annie O'Neill, who Annie is from Seattle. She's Seattle-based. She is an incredible powerhouse vocalist, raw rootsy style, and good friends with the Hendrix family, with Jimi Hendrix's family, and played at the 50th Memorial Weekend in Seattle recently, too. Annie is really, really special, has played in a number of different bands, and so we are really, really excited. She's going to be performing live with a couple of her colleagues in music on Monday, November 9th, Annie O'Neill. On November 16th, another incredible musician, Laura Segaris. Bobby Thompson, who was on a couple of weeks ago, played with Laura on some music earlier a little while ago. Her music spans genres of folk, Americana, alt country blues. She is just very, very special, and she's got some amazing things to share with us, and that's on November 16th. November 23rd, Jim Ebert will be back with Cancer Can Rock, and what a fabulous organization Jim runs. And we're going to have a couple, hopefully, we're definitely going to have a couple of his cancer survivors who come into his studio, and they're able to record. They're going to be performing live for you on Living on Music. So we can't wait to have Jim. And on November 30th, Seth Keibel. Seth is one of the Mid-Atlantic's premier woodwind specialists. He works with some of the best bands around here in jazz, swing, klezmer, other things. What a unique and exciting show. He's played with Flo Anito on my show before, and with Flo on a number of things. So that is very, very exciting to have Seth on November 30th. So that is the rest of November for School of Rock. Listen to me. We are a School of Rock of sorts for Living on Music. And we've got some amazing shows coming up in December. I can't wait to start letting you know what those are going to be. Real quick, this week on ZTV on Reading, Writing, and Ralph. Okay, tomorrow night at 7, Ralph Peluso welcomes an incredible guy, and I've done some research today on him myself, a multi-award winning author, Rick Murphy, who is not only the National Vice President of the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, but he has written some incredible books, and he wrote a book called Arrival of the First Africans in Virginia. And it is just one incredible book. It chronicles 32 men, women, and children who arrived on the shores of Virginia after being kidnapped and enslaved in Angola and coming over here. And it is an incredible experience. It won the Wheatley Awards. It's gotten some incredible accolades. So that is tomorrow night. I mean, can you believe that? That is where we are with tomorrow night on ZTV. And Wednesday night at 7, it's the Family Focus Power Hour. Now, who doesn't need a little family focus and kind of maybe getting some advice and ideas on how to kind of continue to work with your kids and work with yourselves on how this is all going. Dr. Amy Parks and Michelle Milben, who's the founder of Explanation Kids, will be joining ZTV on Wednesday. The conversation is going to focus on helping families navigate and thrive through the last quarter of 2020. So why wouldn't you want to watch that? You really get a sense of what's going on out there and how to do some things that maybe you're not thinking of with your kids and yourselves. So please join us Wednesday night at 7. And also the great Lucella Flaherty, we love her, and Susan Fleischman and David McClure out there shooting some live things, getting some live events. Boy, I mean, everything from the Ruth Ginsburg memorials to a lot of election things going on. Please stick with ZTV. I'm telling you, this is really where you need to be right now. Living on Music is a production of Zebra Press. Executive producer is David McClure. Zebra Press publisher, the great Mary Wadland. You can visit the Zebra at zebra.org and on the Good News Zebra Press Facebook page. And the November 2020 edition of the Zebra newspaper is out as we speak. Hopefully you'll have a paper in your hands, which again, I love to do. I say that every show. I love to have that Washington Post, the Zebra in the morning, looking through the hardcore newspaper. Maybe that's old school. That's the way it should be. If you'd like to get a subscription, go to zebra.org. If not, go to zebra.org and find it online, or 125 newspaper boxes, 400 bulk drop locations around Alexandria. Again, thanks to Steve McKay and the incredible School of Rock Alexandria for facilitating, perpetuating, and handing off music to so many wonderful children and families in this area. And we will see you back again. Annie O'Neill joins me a week from tonight on Living on Music. Right now, more than ever, we hope you voted. So remember that. Voting is tomorrow. It is the biggest election that this country, I think, has ever seen in its history. So please vote. Find a way to vote. And again, as you're going through life, no matter where you are, what you're doing, please be the good news in someone's life. Take care.